Hello and welcome back. So, if you have been feeling really ready to let go of the things that have not been serving, the things that feel like they're part of your old identity, part of the familiar pattern that you have come to know, that you might call your comfort zone, but oftentimes it's not comfortable living in that old pattern. If you've been feeling like you're ready to really release that so you can step into a new skin, step into a more congruent, more aligned, more authentic version of you, then you are so in the right place. So, hello, I'm Debbie Lichter, founder of Freedom Embodied Academy. And it is my absolute passion to help you to get free of all the addictions and obsessions that are holding you back so that you can truly shine your light and light that path for other people. And today we're at the winter solstice. This is such a special time. Last night was the longest night of the year. And for those of you who are not so familiar with the symbolism of that, the winter solstice is this beautiful symbolic time of the longest night of that death within the year, where you can really lay to rest those things that are no longer serving you. And you can step into the dawning of a new day, the new beginning. From this day forward, for the rest of the year, we are going to be having shorter days. We are moving towards the light from this day forward. So it's absolutely perfect to have a releasing and reclaiming ceremony, which is what we're going to be doing today. If you stick around, I'll be guiding you through those six steps to really doing that. And at the end, I will share with you where you can just dive deeper into all of this, because we over at Freedom Embodied Academy are going to be spending an entire year in the implementation of what we're really going to be talking about today. And I find that the last key here, the last step, which you want to stick around for, this is the most important one. So I really, really invite you to stick around the whole time. And again, I will share with you at the end some ways that you can dive in even deeper. So let's get started. So the very, very first thing that you want to make sure that you do is you want to ask for divine support. So this is really, really important, because when we're thinking about all the things that we want to let go of and whatever, it's really easy to slip into that self-helpy kind of thing where we're now trying to catalog all of our mistakes or all the things that we think are wrong with us, and then we go and try to fix those things, or we try to work on ourselves. And I speak with women all the time, and they're like, I've done so much work on myself, and and I still, here I am, and when am I going to get there? And it's so frustrating, and I've done so much work. And sometimes I say, well, part of the problem is that we are trying to work on ourselves, because when we are talking about really shifting from your familiar pattern, from what's safe, from the you that you've come to know, from the identity that you've assigned to yourself, into a new version, that's not something that we can actually figure out in our own mind, because of course our mind is stuck with the tools that got us where we are. And so if we want that new experience, we have to call upon divine help. And so the very first thing that you want to do is you want to ask for that divine help. And whatever that means for you, you can define that however that means for you. God, goddess, universe, spirits, angels, guides, light team, divine team. You want to call upon what feels meaningful to you. And so I'm just going to say something right now on behalf of us. And of course, I invite you to insert the meaning that it has for you, so that you can feel an authentic experience of calling upon that higher support for yourself. So I'll just say, divine team, please enable us to set aside everything that we think that we know and open us up for a new experience. Help us to see the truth of the things that are blocking us from you, from other people, and from ourselves. And then you can just take a deep breath here and inhale that prayer, that invocation, that evocation into your system. Just letting it settle into every single cell, every single part of you. So that's the first thing you want to do, is you want to ask that divine team for support. So now we're not just up in our heads trying to figure this out for step 2. So step 2 is to acknowledge. Hi, Julie, good to have you with us. Step 2 is to acknowledge. And so here's where I really invite you to start to inventory, what are some of those patterns that have been holding you back? What are some of those patterns that you really are ready to release? You know, as I was feeling into this earlier, as I've been speaking with people this week, and, you know, just really noticing what's been coming up in my own space, because I find that every single time we're ready for a big release, we start to get all the stuff kind of comes up and bubbles up to the surface. And so I wanted just to read off some of the things that have been coming up in the field. And as you listen to this list, maybe you can grab a pen and paper and you can start to make some of this, you know, write some things down for yourself too. So what I'm hearing a lot of is I'll never be enough, or I'm not enough, never enough. Comparison, a lot of I'm over here and they're all doing it over there, and somehow I'm never enough. I'm not gonna be able to be on par with other people, or just a lot of judgment of comparing, okay, well, I'm better than that, but I'm not as good as that. And so, you know, just kind of putting ourselves in a less than or better than role with other people. Feeling like you're too much. Feeling like you're too much of the wrong things. I'm too high maintenance, I'm too needy, I'm too loud, I'm too emotional, you know, all of these things. Like, so just notice if too much comes up for you. Feeling boring, I'm not fun, nobody wants to be my friend, or I don't do anything fun. So a lot of feelings of being boring, ineffective. The ineffective, inadequate, again, like defective, broken, something's wrong with me, I'm never gonna get this. That comes up a lot. The fear of being too complicated. So again, that goes along with the too much thing. I'm too complicated, I'm too complex, it's always so difficult for me. Why can't I just be normal? That kind of thing. Never gonna get this. Things need to be a certain way. So this was the one that I really was feeling so strongly this morning as I was feeling into the field and really asking how to serve this conversation today and the community of people that are going to be listening to this. If you're listening to the recording, if you're listening live, it's all perfect. You're all a part of the conversation. And this word, I invite you to find where this word lives in you. Hi, Ian, good to see you. So this word is rigidity. And so this is a huge, huge thing that I see, because rigidity is whatever I do to resist what is. It's whatever I'm doing to brace the present moment. And oftentimes we get rigid and we brace against things in ourselves that we don't really like. And so we don't want to look at that. We don't want to accept it, because we feel like if we accept it, then we will never change, and the bottom will fall out, and we'll just fall into a black hole of complete disaster. And so we tend to try and reject parts of ourselves, thinking that that's actually keeping us motivated to strive to be better. But all of that actually creates rigidity. It creates rigidity in our lives. It creates rigidity in our bodies that can turn into chronic pain, that can turn into tension and aches, it can turn into illness, it can turn into disease, it can turn into kinds of things. But it also creates a spiritual rigidity where now we are blocked off and locked off from ourselves and from others and from that very divine team that we are asking for support from. And when we are rigid, oftentimes we might see this in our lives as trying to control things or needing things to look a certain way for us to be okay. And so just notice if this term rigidity, notice if it finds a way into your awareness right now. Maybe you really focus on being really disciplined, or you're really mean to yourself in your head, or you're beating yourself up constantly, or you actually have physical tension in your body, or there are things in you or in other people that you feel like you're rejecting. Or, what I realized when I got free of my caffeine addiction was that up until that point, I was always using caffeine to try and manipulate how I was feeling. So if I was a little bit tired, instead of being tired because I was tired, I was rejecting what is. I'm like, no, I don't want to be tired. I'm going to manufacture energy by drinking caffeine. And I did that for years and years and years. And it was only when I got free of my caffeine addiction that I realized for the first time, like, oh my gosh, I just have to be with what is. This is so vulnerable. I'm tired. I have to, oh my gosh, go lie down and take a nap. Oh my gosh, what's happening? And so just notice this. This is a huge, huge piece. And if we're really talking about wanting to step into a more congruent, aligned, authentic you, stepping into a place where you feel like you are able to receive more love, more connection, more joy, more success, then these are the things that we want to really look at. So I have been sharing a few things. I would love to hear some comments. If you want to post a comment about one quality that you feel like is not serving you anymore, that you are really ready to release, that you are really ready to offer on that figurative altar and say, this is something that I realize is blocking me or holding me back. It might actually be an entire pattern. It might be obsession. It might be obsession around food or the way that you're drinking. What I invite is that you don't create a laundry list of all the things that you know that you should or shouldn't be doing and try to be perfect. Like, I'm gonna meditate every day for 5 hours. I'm gonna work out every day for 5 hours. I'm gonna this, I'm gonna that. And like making this master list of all the things that you think that you're supposed to do. I really invite you to go deeper than that and to notice the patterns, the feelings, the ways of being that are sitting just one level below some of those actions on the surface, because that's where you're going to start to see some of those deeper fears, some of those deeper belief patterns or limiting thoughts or delusions that are actually really driving those patterns that you're seeing on the outside. Okay, so that's the acknowledgement piece. And then, what I invite you to do right now is just pick one word, pick one thing that either I've mentioned or that has just come up in your own awareness. Maybe it's the feeling of not being enough, or the feeling of being too much, or, the fear of never getting this. But I want you to actually close your eyes for a moment. I invite you to just go within into your body and just call up that quality, that fear or that belief pattern, and just notice where you experience tension or strain in your physical body. Because that quality or that fear or that belief actually has a residence inside your tissue. Your issues are in your tissues, and it's actually in your tissue. And so just notice if there's a particular part of your body. Yeah, with some of you I can feel right now because I'm feeling a real gripping in the stomach. So if you're feeling a grip in the stomach, kind of like a tight ball or just almost like a bracing in the stomach, I'm feeling that from some of you. I'm feeling a tightness in the throat. But there's a huge, huge feeling, almost like a sucker punch that's happening in the stomach. So if you've got any sensation happening in your stomach right now, that's your area of your personal power. That is your area. You might want to consider where you're self-betraying, where that's coming up for you, where you are doubting yourself, where you are hemorrhaging power, where you are caught up in people pleasing or proving or trying to be perfect, or, performing, or, any of those things, any of the ways that you're hooked into or, kind of yeah, like other people are hooked into you or you're hooked into other people. Just notice any of that stuff. So I'm feeling a lot of that, those cords that are going on. So just notice that stuff. Yeah, yeah. So we're getting some shares here. A lot of stuff happening here. Yep, smoking and needing to control things. Absolutely. This is all the stuff. So you want to just kind of bring this to service and then just notice where that judgment sits or notice where those feelings sit. Again, I'm feeling a lot of stuff for you guys kind of in this like rib core area, feeling really, really intense over there. And so with that feeling, as you really get present to it and you feel that sensation fully, what I invite you to do right now, the next phase is to move into, after we acknowledge that that's going on there, is I invite you to breathe in, inhale, and imagine yourself inhaling in some fresh inspiration. So when we breathe inspiration, we're actually breathing spirit in, inspiring. And so we've already asked our divine team to be here to help us. As you inhale, imagine breathing that spirit in and imagine that spirit just surrounding and holding and hugging whatever part in your body feels the most tense or constrained or constricted or confined. Just imagine almost like this orb of light or this ball of love that's just surrounding it. We're not trying to fix it or change it or make it be different. We're just actually going to breathe in and surround it with some love. So just now, as you can feel that sensation inside of your body, now just imagine that there's just this beautiful, loving container of light that is just surrounding it and holding it. And just be with that for a few moments. Maybe inhaling and exhaling and just allowing that light and that love just to surround and to hold the places inside that feel stuck or tense or braced. Yep, I'm feeling a lot in the throat too. If you're feeling stuff in your throat, that's another one of the areas that seems like it's got some constriction. That's totally okay. That totally belongs in this conversation right now. So just be with all of that as you breathe. Inspiring. Good. And so with this, I invite you to breathe and bring that inspiration, breathe that spirit into your heart. And there's something very special that can happen from the lens of our heart as we breathe spirit in and we ask the divine to help us to see ourselves through divine eyes. And so now through the lens of your heart, as you look through divine eyes, I want you to look back out at yourself, maybe doing these activities, or maybe living in this way, or having these fears, or having these beliefs. And from the lens of your heart, not from your judgment or from your head, but from the lens of your heart, I want you to look at yourself. And from the lens of your heart, can you see that you've just been doing the best that you can with the tools that you have right now? That whatever's been going on, that you're not wrong and bad, that you're just on your path, learning and growing, stumbling and bumbling along. You're a child of the universe, and as any child, and as we watch any child that's a toddler, you know, you might fall, you might bump yourself, you might fall down, but you get back up. And can you just see that for yourself for a moment? And if you can, then just inhale there and just bring more of that divine love in through your heart and just exhale and see if you can have more compassion for yourself for where you're at right now. Just softening the borders of that tension. Just letting yourself embrace the fullness of where you're at right now. Beautiful. So that what we did right there is actually part of the as part of the appreciation. So that's the next step. Step 3 is appreciation. So we have asking, we have acknowledgement, and then we have appreciation, is to really see, okay, this is the best that I could have done at the time. And with next level tools, maybe I can have a next level experience. But for right now, that's where things have been. And there's been reason that I've gone to that. There's been discomfort going on. There's been dis-ease going on. And that was the best that I had at the time. And if you're here and you're listening, then it's probably because you're ready for what's next for you. You're ready for what's more. And so be available for that. It's a beautiful place to be. And it doesn't mean that you have to reject how things have been, because we can actually only step into what's new once we have integrated the parts that we haven't liked. So appreciation is a very, very important step before we get to the next step. And the next step is to alchemize. So alchemizing this is now where we have that there. We've now seen the clarity, and now we really want to ask ourselves, are we ready for this to be released? Are we ready for this to be removed? Now, this is not where we're going to go into more self-help and go try to fix ourselves and work on ourselves. This is where, again, we're going to ask that divine team to please support us, to remove what is no longer serving, and to guide us towards a more congruent way of being. And so you can say that in any way that will serve. I'll just speak into the words that are coming to me in this moment. And if this serves you, then that's wonderful. So again, divine team, please help us to be free of these things that are blocking us, these patterns, these beliefs, these fears that have been blocking us from you and from other people and ourselves. Please remove them and show us who you will have us be. Help us to step forward in the truth that you will have us know. Help us to stop defining ourselves, assigning roles. Help us to step into the new skin that you will have us be in 2019. And help us to embody that starting now. And so as you inhale that, just let yourself receive that. Even if it doesn't really make sense, just imagine yourself receiving with that fresh new breath, that insight, that inspiration. And just imagine that light coming into your system, coming into your body, settling into all of the places. It's okay if you still feel that stuckness, that tension inside. It's okay. It's okay. You don't have to be fixed before you can receive what's more. You just get to live into, this alchemization. So, so important. The alchemy is so important for us to be open. And as you alchemize, it's also important as you look through the lens of your heart. That's also part of the alchemy. That also helps to shift because our heart has its own alchemy. So this next step, and I know I said 6, but it's 5 steps, but I'm going to go into more detail in step number 5. And so it feels like 6 steps. But step 5, this is so important. This is so, so important because this is the step that I find that so many of us struggle with. And this is why in Freedom Embodied Academy, we are spending an entire year in the integration of this, because this piece right here is where it is all at, because we can do the things that we just did. And many of us might have done those steps before in our own way. But if we're not doing this final piece, then we're not going to have the results, and we're going to say, oh, this never works, or I'll just never get this, or I'm broken, or whatever it is. Hey, Caitlin, so glad that you're with us. Yeah, and so this is really, really important. And I will just say, because I know I keep on mentioning Freedom Embodied Academy, we just opened up 2 more spots, which I'm so excited about. So again, I will give you an opportunity to hear more about that at the very end. But this next step is so important, and that is to act. To act. So what do I mean by that? So we can ask for that divine help. We can acknowledge what's in the way. We can appreciate it and find it in our own bodies and surround it with love. We can then alchemize it and really ask for it to be removed. But here's the piece, is that unless we are willing and able to take action, to live into that, take daily action, to live into that new way of being, to continue to ask, to continue to be open, to continue to acknowledge, to continue to do these steps, we're going to lose it. And so taking action is so important. And, you know, in the Freedom Embodied Academy, we have 14 gateways that women are moving through in order to really, really embody their next level of freedom. They're being guided through 14 gateways. If you are not in Freedom Embodied Academy, or if you're on your own path, I want to just give you some guidelines that can help you when you get into taking action, what this piece needs to look like for you. It's got to have these three. Do you like that? 3? It's got to have these 3 qualities. 3 qualities. So the first one is that you need a system. You need a plan of action. You need to have a plan to follow, because, you know, as much as so many of us want to just like, I'm just going to work it out. I'm just going to kind of try to figure it out and stuff. And if we try to go piecemeal, we really lose a lot. We don't ever have that sequential process. And this is challenging even oftentimes when I'm, doing a video, or you're watching a webinar from someone, or you're attending an event, or you listen to somebody, or you read a blog. Oftentimes it's giving you a piece of the puzzle. And if you're just focusing on that, then you're missing the whole process sequentially, step by step. And so having a system or a plan, a process, and strategy is so, so important. And so you can have that strategy, and the next thing that you really need, number 2 thing that you need, is that you need accountability. Because we are in an age of information overload. Would you agree? Yeah. And so we can get strategies all day long. You can go to Barnes & Noble or Amazon, or pick up your favorite book, at a new bookstore, and you can get a strategy for whatever you want. But unless we have that accountability, how many times have we picked up a book and it's given us all this great information, but we didn't have any accountability around it? And so it was like it just kind of went in one ear and out the other, because information is different than transformation. And so it's really, really important to get accountability. So if you have an accountability partner, if you have an accountability group, in many ways, the Congruence Collective Facebook group is a group where you can connect with other people authentically. If you're not a part of the Congruence Collective group, then definitely jump over and join us over at liveyourlight.today. But really just, in Freedom Embodied Academy, we have like little, accountability circles. But if there is a community or a group of like-minded folks, that's really where you want to put your attention. That's going to be so, so important. And what I really find is important with accountability is it's people who get you, who you can be real with, who are on a similar path, who don't have any vested interest in your success or failure. So it's really difficult to have like a family member as an accountability partner, or a loved one as an accountability partner, because as much as they're trying to be objective, they are just so close to you. They want what's best for you. And so they're kind of going to be hooked into your successes and your failures. And that's not going to be just the unconditional anchor of support that you need. And so finding that unconditional anchor of support is so, so important. Highly, highly recommend it. So we've got strategy, we've got accountability, and the final piece that you really need to get is you need guidance. So this is so important, because we can have accountability. We can have a buddy who's like a cheerleader for us, who says, hey, yeah, you could do it. Is always kind of reflecting back to us the things that we want to hear that are going to keep us motivated. But when we hit that spot where we hit our own upper limit, or we hit our own the boundary of our own familiarity zone, or we get to our fear, we get to those start to get into those sabotaging patterns because we're up against something that feels like a breakdown because it's right before the breakthrough. That's where we need guidance and support, mentoring support at the next level, to really help us to navigate through that stuff. Because when we hit that, if we're trying to figure things out on our own, then we'll take 5 steps back, and then we'll go back into our old patterns, and we'll say, I could never get this. I'm never going to get it. I'm never going to do this right. I've got to figure it out on my own. I'm the one getting to a lot of self-blame. It's my fault. I couldn't just get this. I've, gotten off the path. I've got to get that, nobody else can do it for me. We get this really very, very interesting. It's like this, prideful kind of we get very proud about it, even if we're feeling really down about ourselves, but we don't want to ask for that help. And this is where I have found personally that, I have had mentors where I am so in my stuff that I am projecting all my crap on them. I am being so difficult. I'm being so difficult because I'm just like throwing it at them because I'm so in my stuff. There's no way that I could navigate out of that. No way. I remember in my business when I was learning a project management software that was supposed to make my business easier and more streamlined. And I was in so much resistance around doing this. And I was being so difficult with my mentor. And she was so patient with me. She held this unconditional space. She guided me through, and I got through it. And now that is like the backbone of my business. It's allowed for me to be able to help so many more thousands of people because we have our internal systems organized, and all my team knows what they're doing, and we're all, getting communication with each other. I would not have been able to move through that on my own. I just can guarantee you. So again, finding that guidance. If it calls to you to work with someone like me, I'll share with you at the very end how you can do that. And how we can, jump on a call to find out if that's a good fit. But whatever you do, I highly recommend that. There's such a huge difference between knowing that the answers are within, because this is a huge, huge thing that I hear from folks, and I get it because I was the same way. Knowing that the answers are within. And so saying to yourself, I got to stop outsourcing all of my, I just gotta stop outsourcing and getting everybody else's opinions. I gotta just, figure this out on my own. That's what people say. I've gotta just, figure this out on my own. But there's a difference between knowing the answers are within, right? And asking for help. Because here's the thing, and this, again, I'm just gonna speak from personal experience and from what I see with now over almost a decade, thousands of people that I've talked to, is that when we are in our stuff, there's an aspect to which we feel pretty lost and doubtful, and we second guess ourselves, and we're actually disconnected from that inner guidance. So that inner guidance might be speaking really loudly to us, but we're just distracted. We can't hear it. We second guess it. We're numbing it out. We're ignoring it. We just can't access it. And so what I personally needed is I actually needed support in gaining access to that. But here's the important thing, and when you're looking for a guide to help you to come home to you, because that's ultimately what a guide should be doing, you want to make sure that it's not somebody that's making you reliant upon them. Somebody that is wanting to be your expert or your guru. You want to make sure that you're aligning yourself with someone, you're asking for help, who is all about supporting you in coming home to you and regaining access to you. That's what all of this is about. That's what all of this shedding and releasing is really doing, is that what we are doing is we are sloughing off anything that isn't just the beautiful, authentic, aligned you that has been there all along. And as you can step into that, as you can fully embody that, as you can let yourself feel into the possibility of what lies before you when you are unencumbered, when you are untethered by all of that stuff that's been holding you back. That's really where you get to experience, oh my gosh, I feel free. Oh my gosh, I feel lighter. And who doesn't want to feel freer and lighter as you're stepping into a new year? Oh my goodness. So I know I promised you that I would share with you a little bit about Freedom Embodied Academy for those of you who might be interested, and how you can get connected with me so that we can chat and find out if this is a fit for you. So Freedom Embodied Academy is really, it's a year-long deep dive that is dedicated to supporting you around getting free from the addictions, obsessions, and self-sabotaging patterns that are holding you back, and then moving into deeper layers of embodying, feeling comfortable in your own skin, and ultimately moving into that ultimate feeling of self-love, authentic confidence, so that you can shine your light authentically and put yourself out there and help the people that you are here to help. And so it is a year-long deep dive, and we have some incredible women who've already raised their hand and stepped forward, who are already in Freedom Embodied Academy. And like I said, we got really inspired. We carved out a little bit of space for 2 more women to come in and join us, because this year is going to be absolutely magical. So if you are feeling called for that, if that's beckoning something inside of you, then all you need to do is schedule some time with me. Go to connectwithdeb.today, connectwithdeb.today, grab a spot on my calendar. Let's hop onto a call, and whether Freedom Embodied Academy is a fit for you, or whether I can just support you really get oriented around the strategy and the accountability plan and the guidance plan that is going to help you, I want to help you with being able to take action right now so that you can start out before 2019 even happens. You can already start out positioned to have a more congruent, authentic, freer, lighter, happier year than you've ever had. So it has been such an honor to be here with you. Thank you to those of you who tuned in live. I loved being here with you. Again, I look forward to connecting with you. For those of you who schedule at some time with me, connectwithdeb.today. I'll leave that link in the comments. If you're listening to the recording, please still share your comments, because I will go back and listen to them. And I will just connect more with you soon next time. Bye for now. Mwah.